One of the biggest concerns for Americans, as well as the cost of living, is the crisis at the southern border that we've just seen over the past few years. And now the US military is ordering additional 1,500 active duty troops to the border. The additional troops will join the roughly 2,200 active duty forces and 4,500 National Guardsmen already stationed there. Now, Trump has signed an executive order suspending the entry of migrants at the southern border with Mexico, according to the White House. Let's take a listen.
Broke the news that President Trump signed an executive order of 1,500 additional troops to the United States southern border. This comes off of his day one action, as I just talked about on Fox News, to direct the Department of Defense to make Homeland Security a core mission of the agency. This is something President Trump campaigned on. The American people have been waiting for such a time as this, for our Department of Defense to actually take Homeland Security seriously. This is a #1 priority of the American people, and the president is already delivering.
But can you confirm?
Yeah, this is something that Donald Trump absolutely campaigned on. And if you voted for Trump, this is what you want to see.
Exactly. And he has unleashed a number of executive orders in addition to the ones mentioned there by the new White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, including declaring a national emergency at the southern border, as well as reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy, and also ending birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. And when you look at polling on these issues, one of the things that stuck out to me today from a new poll that dropped this morning was that close to 60% of Americans support resuming construction of the border wall. And on the birthright citizenship question, which is being debated on legal merits right now, he's only 5 points underwater on that question. I think if the White House messages that correctly, they could easily turn that around. But immigration was the top 2 issue for voters. There's no question that Trump has a mandate to shut down the southern border and make sure that it's secure moving forward.
And also, White House border czar Tom Homan has confirmed that Donald Trump's mass deportation has begun, as the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers can now arrest illegal immigrants in churches and in schools. Now, this is another key thing that the president campaigned on. This is what most Americans want to see, but those areas outlined as churches and schools and hospitals are among other places, maybe confronting to witness when this is actually carried out.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this effort is going to be a little bit messy. There's going to be moments throughout this where it's going to look uncompassionate or non-compassionate. However, the White House has to make the case that the alternative is to allow people to continue to make the dangerous trek to the southern border, which is not compassionate for people who say that they're seeking a better life. And they also have to point out that there has been irrevocable damage done to the American people, especially the angel moms who have lost children to illegal immigrant crimes. So when they're faced with some of these issues moving forward through the mass deportation program, they're going to have to really thread that needle to remind the American people why they had the appetite for this in the first place. And it's because illegal immigrants have caused a lot of damage to American society, culture, and the economy.
I want to talk to you about foreign policy. Donald Trump is threatening sanctions against Russia if Vladimir Putin doesn't bring the war in Ukraine to an end. He's long promised to end the war and says that there will be no more blank checks from the American taxpayers to fund overseas conflicts. Now, we know that Donald Trump vowed to end this on day one. That's not entirely possible, but how quickly do you think he can get this done?
Well, we did hear Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signal when Trump was elected that he was potentially interested in resuming negotiations with Russia, which was something we hadn't heard from him really since the war started. So I think that was a good sign that with Trump in office, they're interested in perhaps pursuing peace, both the Russians and the Ukrainians. And his recent actions against Russia remind us of how ridiculous the narrative was in his first term, that he was somehow soft on Russia because he was being blackmailed by Vladimir Putin, or that he had even colluded with the Russians to win the election. He clearly is not giving them a pass in this conflict. He's going to hold them accountable for their unjust actions while also making sure that the American people are not on the hook as a proxy member to this war.